Good morning. Oh, we have to do a lot better than that. Good morning. I did not wake up at 8:30 for this mediocre. First, I want to thank Ben and Creative Mornings for thinking of me and having me here. I think this is awesome. This is one of the many reasons I love Austin. I don't think most people waking up at 8:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning to come talk about justice. I also want to thank Kirby Lane. I was really scared that I would be the one guy that didn't have tacos at his thing. Because, like, no matter what I said, y'all would have been like, yeah, that was the not taco guy. I'm not going to lie. I guess I feel like being vulnerable because this feels like church. We have, like, a pulpit here. We had music. We've had a man asking us for money. We had the little collection plate going around. Yeah, so this, for white people that don't know, this is exactly what black people church is like. So I will say this. I've been kind of in the back minding my business because I've been kind of nervous. And I don't know why. At first I thought it was because, I'm speaking to a large group of white people. Then I realized I live in Austin. I do this all the time. And then I thought about, is it because I may offend somebody or, I may not live up to the expectations when you click register to be here. But then I'm reminded of Dave Chappelle, who we may have different opinions about, but he speaks boldly in his truth, and I'm going to do that regardless. But I think the thing that makes me nervous, if you will, is justice is a hard topic, in my opinion, because it means, for the most part, we have to check ourselves. We have to check our privilege. We have to look in the mirror and be like, how am I contributing to all these problems? Because all of us are. And I'll get into that in a little bit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, about my organization. I'm going to say some random stuff. And then I'm going to leave. And then I'm going to go to another meeting and keep fighting and working. But hopefully you enjoy some of the things I have to say. Austin Justice Coalition, like Ben said, is a nonprofit grassroots organization that got started in 2015. The main reason we got started was because Black Lives Matter was popping off, and we really appreciated all the energy that was going on in the streets. Like, you remember, like, 4 years ago, it was a rally and a protest every week. And that's not really a good thing because that means literally a black person was getting shot every week. Something bad was happening every week. It was like a 48 news cycle, something going on all the time. And while we appreciate the rallies and the protests and bringing awareness to issues, we realized that something else had to change, right? You can't bring about change on a strategic, black and white, legal level just in the streets. So while we recognize the importance of rallies and protests and bringing awareness, we realized that somebody had to be at the table. So what we wanted to do was create a space where young black and brown people and people that are historically in the margins, poor people, could come and organize and find out solutions and ways so we could actually change things on a policy level. And we've been pretty good at that. For 4 years being around, we became the first city to actively fight against and get major reforms in the police union contract. If you've been, thank you. I don't even know if you know what that means, but it's a big deal. We actually wrote the de-escalation policy, although they'll never admit this. We wrote the de-escalation policy for the Austin Police Department, which has resulted in 3 officers being fired since we wrote that in November 2017. We are the reason that people are not getting arrested for Class C misdemeanors anymore, which is 2 grams or less of marijuana and things like this. And it's important to do these things, right? Because, again, if you're just in the streets and you're just angry and you're just mad, which I'm not here policing emotions and anything like that. You have every right to be upset what's going on, circa November 2018. But you also have to find a way to channel that anger, challenge, and channel that emotion so you can bring about actual changes. And that's what we do. It's not sexy. It's, we did a rally one time at Gibbons Park. We had 2,000 people come out. It was after Philando Castile and Alton Sterling. 2,000 people came out to Gibbons Park. I gave what I thought was a good speech. And I asked people to come join us for the meeting. 2,000 people came to the park. 6 people came to the meeting. So I realized, you know what? I'll never waste as much energy into a protest or rally again because it's just not, it's Everybody can be angry. Everybody can be upset. But who is willing to do the not sexy work, behind the scene work, be at the table where a lot of our voices are not, right? So that's what we do in a nutshell. About me, really quickly, this is like kind of the sad part, but I'm not trying to get like pity points. My name is Chaz Moore. Again, I was born in 1988, which I'm so lucky to be an 80s baby. Barely. My mom passed away at the age of 7. I didn't see my dad for the first time until the age of 17 because of the criminal legal system. My grandpa passed away at the age of, I was a sophomore in high school. So I've been raised by this beautiful black woman, my grandma, my whole entire life. And I love her so much. And she's the reason why I do a lot of the work I do. At the age of 17, I was a straight A student in college, in high school. I was really smart, teacher's pet, principal's pet, everybody loved me, but I made one mistake. One summer, I was with the wrong group at the wrong time, and that resulted with me being interactive with the criminal legal system. Notice I'm saying the criminal legal system, right? We'll get to that later, too. Which resulted in me becoming a convicted felon at the age of 17. Still was blessed to go to the University of Texas. I did not graduate. I had a lot of stuff on my mind. I don't know if I can cuss or not, so I'm trying to. Oh, great, yes. So I had a lot of shit on my mind, and it was really hard for me to focus in a room with 300 white kids at the University of Texas about, mass communications and advertising when I'm thinking about I couldn't work at Burger King, I couldn't work at McDonald's, I couldn't work at Walmart, I could even work at Goodwill for a while. So that, like many of us, once I was introduced to the criminal legal system, that's when I started caring, right? Just like our drug epidemic, right? When black and brown people were suffering from, cocaine in the 80s and 90s, nobody cared. But now that we have an opioid crisis, it's a national public health thing, right? And I think that's very American of us. We're a very individualistic society. There's not many us anymore. We don't really care about something until it comes on our front doorstep, till it happens to us, our family, and our friends. So like most Americans, I didn't really get what being a felon was until I was impacted by it. I didn't know that mean that you couldn't work at the shittiest places. I didn't know that meant that you had to always ask your girlfriend or your family and friends to lease an apartment for you, because nobody rents to felons for whatever reason after you have paid your debt to society, right? So that's why I'm so passionate about this. That's why I care about the people that we often forget about, the people in the margins. That's why I care about the homeless people that everybody in the city is losing their mind about right now. That's why I care about black women who are dying because they want to have kids, but the doctors are not listening to them. That's why I care about brown people that are locked up at the border in cages. And it doesn't have to happen to me. Like, we're all connected, but we don't understand that until it happens to us. So I'll talk about a little bit about justice and what it really means based on the dictionary. Justice, at the base of it, means fairness. That's all it means. It means fair. But I think in this country in particular, it doesn't mean fair. It means how can we punish you at a rate that makes you not want to do this ever again. And we don't understand the way we punish in this country. There's no coming back from it, right? Instead of having restorative justice in this country, we do straight punitive. It was a kid in another state, I can't think of his name right now, shot a gun in the air 11 times. Didn't hit anybody, didn't shoot anybody, didn't kill anybody. They gave him 11 life sentences. Now, I'm all about people being held accountable. Yeah, he did something stupid. He should be held accountable. 11 life sentences? You know the answer to that question. He was black, of course. It was a kid in Fort Bend County, same county I got in trouble at in 2018. Ran over a person in his car. They diagnosed him with affluenza. That means he's too rich to understand what he's doing. That's literally what the disease is. He got probation for like two years. That's not justice, right? If justice means fair, if justice means being impartial, if it means non-biased, something is wrong with our system. And I'm like, this is not going to be like a thing where I give you all the data. I can tell you that 1 in 1,000 black men are going to die at the hands of police, as a new study just showed. 1 in 1,000 black men will die at the hands of cops. Put it in perspective, the odds of it happening to any man in the country is 1 in 2,000. The odds of it happening to any woman in this country is 1 in 33,000. Black men have a better chance of going to a corner store, buying a lottery ticket, scratch off, and not winning. But they have a better chance of being shot by the cops. That's the country we live in. And then you wonder why black people saying Black Lives Matter. And people have the audacity to say, well, all lives matter. Well, we know that already. This country was built for people. It was built by people that look like me and indigenous folks, right? 1 in 1,000 black men will die at the hands of police between the ages of 25 and 35. So I got 4 more years, and then I'll be scot-free, hopefully. So let's talk about fair. Is it fair that Eric Gardner was killed because he was trying to sell cigarettes to support his family? Is it fair that in Austin, Maurice Da Silva, the Latino guy that was going through a mental health crisis, had a knife to his own neck that needed somebody to talk to? Cops showed up, they shot him, 3 cops shot him, one cop tased him. Is it fair that women, all women across the board, still don't have equal pay in this country in 2019? That's insane. Again, going back to black women, is it fair that black women are literally dying? We are in an epidemic with black women dying for giving birth just because their doctors don't listen to them, because they think they're incompetent, they think they're ignorant. Why am I talking about the health system? Because that's also justice too. I think a lot of times when we think about justice, we think about just cops, lawyers, judges. No, we have to talk about the social justice aspect as well. Why is it that black women are still like the lowest paid and Hispanic women are the lowest paid in this whole country? Why is it that Austin is 7% black when it used to be 1 in 3 black? Now it's 1 in 13 black. That's why, I see a couple black people here that this is about the right ratio, sadly enough. Why is it that Austin is 7% black, but 42% of the homeless population is black? Which, I would beg to question, is that why we're going through this whole debate around homelessness in this city? What does justice mean to us? Does it mean just punishing people all the time? Does it mean that we have to lock everybody up for every little thing? Does it mean that we use the cops for everything? Does it mean that you have to fight your own fight? Women are still not getting paid equally because men don't care. Particularly white men. Black people are still getting shot by cops because white people don't care, because it's not happening to them. We have homeless people on the street because at the end of the day, we woke up in some form of comfort. We put on our pants, we put on our shirts, we brushed our teeth, and we made a conscious decision, a privilege to be here this morning. And we have the audacity to tell these people to move when they have nowhere else to go. In liberal haven of the South Austin. So what does justice mean to us? Justice to me means that we live up to who we really say we are. The Constitution is like a really beautiful thing. If you just read the Constitution for what it is, it's a beautiful piece of a document. But we have never lived up to that at all. That's what justice means, that everybody in this country can literally have life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Not just white, heterosexual, cis men. Justice to me means that we take a step outside of ourselves and try to have some empathy for one another. And not just rely on the systems all the time. It's so easy for us to do that. We say this country is going to shit because of Trump. No, it's going to shit because of us. Dave Chappelle has a joke about Trump. He says, I don't talk about Trump because, he's not the hokey pokey. He's not what it's all about, which I thought was very funny. And that's true. Trump he's just a talking head for who we really are at our core. Justice is all about equity. It's not about equality. I hate the word equality. No. It's about equity. If you live in a country as a white person where you have had access to all the resources and all the wealth, You think equality, you think me being able to go to the front door in the 60s and not catching up to all the free labor and free access and the free resources you had? I don't want equality, I want equity. Yes, women should automatically get paid more than men. Yes, they should, because they haven't for so long. Black women should be the highest paid across this board anywhere, because they do not get paid. Equity. We're talking about building borders. When we come over here, we wipe out an entire nation of indigenous folks. Borders is the most white people thing ever. And I always remind white people, talking about go back where you came from. Well, as a black person, you have to remember that you were my ride here. So we both got to go back. Right now in Texas, right here in Austin, we're standing on Mexican land. And we have the audacity to talk about build a border. That's crazy to me. Justice is about all of us. It's not about the systems. It's not about putting it off on the next thing. It's about fighting. It's about standing up and fighting for what's right and making this place better for your neighbor. Like I see a lot of white people in Austin have the signs, you know, Black Lives Matter here and all that, which I really appreciate. That is allyship 101. But if you only have a sign in your yard for me and for people that have been suffering, you're not doing enough. You're not a true ally. How do you become a co-conspirator? How do you actually use your privilege and relinquish some of your power to make sure that we can all live and be in better positions? As a man, when you go to work later today maybe, and somebody makes that sexist joke, do you laugh or do you call them on it? Because that sexist joke grows. When you're walking down 6th Street, going to one of your little hippie bars, and one of your friends makes fun of somebody experiencing homelessness on the street, do you check them on it or do you just laugh? Because every little joke that we do like that, unless you're a professional comedian, and it's a space where I hope we understand that people are joking, we're dehumanizing somebody. And the more you dehumanize somebody, the easier it is to treat them like complete and utter shit. We don't see the homeless people on the street as our family, friends, and neighbors. We see them as trash. We don't see women as equal counterparts. We see them as objects to please us. They don't know anything. So that's justice, right? It's not this big, it's not all about policy and laws and legislation. That is important, it's very important, but it's about everybody in this room checking themselves, checking our neighbors, checking the people we love most, to make sure we can slowly, somehow, start taking better steps at becoming a better nation. Because what we've been doing doesn't work. Something has to change. And I mess with white people a lot because I have to. You're the people in power. You're the one that control a lot of this stuff. Your complicity is why we are in a lot of the shit we are in right now. And I say that because I love you. I love everybody in this room. But white men in particular, until you start stepping outside of yourself and start empathizing with other people and start using some of your power and privilege, you know, we'll have these kind of conversations for the next 30 years. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it. And I keep using the women. I can't believe women are still not getting paid the same equal amount for doing the same fucking job that a man is doing. That makes no sense to me. And as a man, we'll get on and say, you know, we'll wear little feminist shirts and say we care. No, we don't. Because we're not going to HR. We're not talking to the CEO saying, you know, like this doesn't make sense. So I want to show you a picture of this little I don't know if you can see. This is a little white kid with a hammer and a chisel. That's the Berlin Wall. This is where I get to the creative justice part. This little white kid, and many people like him, didn't wait for some policy or some legislation. They said, you know what? Fuck this wall. Literally, the Berlin Wall started becoming eradicated when It was some hippies. I can't even make this up. Some hippies were walking by one night, and they literally said, you know what, fuck this wall. And they grabbed a hammer and chisel, and they just started chipping away. And they did it every day. They kept coming back day in and day out. And what happened was people saw them and was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. That's an easy thing to do. So more people start coming, kids start coming, and eventually, you know, spoiler alert, the wall comes down. This is creative justice to me because he wasn't waiting on whoever the president was at the time. He wasn't waiting on his local councilwoman or councilman. He wasn't waiting on his parents. He wasn't waiting on anybody. He identified a problem. He had a solution. He started chipping away. My challenge to you is I don't care who you are or who you don't think you are. I'm here today to tell you, as a convicted felon, 3-time college dropout, anybody can do anything they want to make this world a better place. It's so many things we can all be chipping away. I get it. Like there's so like the equal pay gap, racism, sexism, all the obvious. Just pick one, pick your wall. And then find your hammer and your chisel, whatever that may be. For me, it's my voice and my nonprofit and my lived experience. And I use it and I chip away at that. As a black heterosexual male, anytime I hear women talk about misogyny, I don't take that personal. I just listen to it. Anytime I hear a person in the LGBTQIA plus community tell me something that's, you know, that they feel, I listen to that. I don't get defensive. That's not my role. That's not my right. So listen to the people that are affected. Learn how these systems are affecting people. Find your hammer and your chisel, whatever that may be. For some of you, it may be money. I'm assuming it's money because you're here on a Friday. Either you have a really good boss or you just, you know, life is going good for you. Find your hammer, find your chisel, and chip away. It's really that simple. Because the more complicit we get, the more crazy shit is going to be. And I'll leave on this. This is kind of dark, but I'm sorry. It is what it is. The reason the Holocaust happened is because so many people were quiet. It didn't happen overnight. It started with the locker room jokes. It started with the dehumanization. So it's all of us. It takes all of us. Either we're going to get better together or we're going to lose our shit and kill one another. I'm not really a fan of the latter. I want to live in a world where we can do this all the time and not really talk about deep, dark shit like this. Let's wake up on a Friday morning and come sit on the rooftop and just eat tacos and listen to some good music. I don't know. I love you all. Justice and liberty for all.